Good morning, and welcome to All People's Church Unitarian Universalist. My name is Lori McKitka, and I'll be your co-celebrant this morning. Our Sunday service is a shared time of worship for all present as we gather for music, spoken words, a time of reflection and inspiration as a religious community. Let us come together in a spirit of compassion and respect for ourselves and others while attending this service. We especially welcome those who are visiting today. If you haven't yet done so, please sign at the visitors table by the front door, where you can be placed on our mailing list to receive weekly emails and monthly newsletter. Before we continue on to worship, there are some announcements. And I don't have any announcements, but I do know, it's not written down, but I do know we have in the back parking lot, we cut down some trees back there, and the tree is cut into fireplace logs. So if anybody needs firewood, there's a big pile of it in the back parking lot. Mark your calendar for the next Spectrum Chamber Music Society concert here at All People's Church on Monday, February 12th at 7:30. The concert will include a performance by the Van Cliburn award-winning pianist and is sure to be a highlight of the season. I'm going to be there. It's going to be fantastic. Our final announcement is an introduction of Daniel Polk this morning. Who is in the pulpit this morning? Daniel is the executive director of NTUC, North Texas Unitarian Universalist Congregations. Daniel, welcome to All People's Church. And yay! And now settle comfortably for our musical prelude.
Come down off the ladder, wash out that paintbrush, shake the sand out of your shoes, get up off your muddy knees, and give the garden a morning off. Fold up the newspaper, turn off the coffee pot, close up your calendar already filled with dates and times and people and places that claim you. This church is ready for you to fill its rooms, to generate its spirit, to create its warmth, to kindle its light. This church is ready for you to make community, to create beauty, to bend it towards justice, to serve its ideals. This church is ready for you to be here, honoring our past, invigorating our present, and dreaming our future. This is your church. Here we are home. Here we are whole. Let us begin.
We invite you to rise in body or spirit for the chalice lighting, opening hymn, and spoken affirmation. Our chalice lighting words today are from the Reverend Jamie Yondel. We light this flame to ignite the sacred power of justice. We light this flame so that it may be a beacon of hope in moments of uncertainty, fear, anxiety, and the unknown. We light this flame and are emboldened by its blaze. Knowing our strength as a prophetic and powerful people is rooted in the diverse ways we answer the call to love. Please join for our opening hymn, number 348, Guide My Feet. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. The young and young at heart are now invited to come forward for our time for all ages here at the front of the chancel. And Joe Burnham will be reading the story, A Lamp in Every Corner.
Good morning. My name is Joe Burnham. Welcome to All Peoples. I'm going to be your storyteller this morning. Many years ago, in the land of Transylvania, in a mountain valley watered by quick rushing streams and shadowed by great forests of beech trees, there was a village of small wooden houses with dark shingled roofs. The people in the village were the Unitarian religion, and they wanted a church of their very own. A church set on the hillside, they decided, looking down upon the village as a mother looks down upon her sleeping child. So all the people of the village labored long and hard to build themselves a church. The stonemasons hammered sharp chisels to cut great blocks of gray stone, then set the stones into stout and sturdy walls. The glaziers made tiny glass panes and fitted them neatly into the windows with leaded lines. The foresters sawed tall beech streets into enormous beams and laid the trusses for the ceiling, then covered the roof with close-fitting wooden shingles that wouldn't leak a drop of rain. The carpenters carved wood for the pair of wide opening doors, setting them on strong pegs so that the doors hung straight and square. A bell was brought from far away, then hoisted by ropes with a heave and a hoe to the top of the tower. The weavers wove fine cloths for the altar table, cloths embroidered with flowers and edged with lace. The smiths hammered black iron into tall lampstands and hammered thin bronze into shining oil lamps. Finally, when the building of the church was done, the painting of the church could begin. The painters mixed bright colors, royal red and shimmering gold, and brilliant blue, and everyone in the village, old and young, women, men, boys, and girls, came to decorate their church. They painted flowers, they painted trees, they painted designs around the windows and different designs around the doors. At the end of the day, when it was finished, when their church was finally done, all the people of the village stood back to admire it, and then to sing a song of happiness and praise. Their village had a church now, a church set on the hillside, looking down upon the village as a mother looks down upon her sleeping child. "We will eat now," announced the elder of the village, because everyone was hungry after their long day's work. "And later tonight, we will all come back to pray." So the people of the village went down the hillside to their homes and their suppers, all except one little girl named Zora and her father, who stayed behind. They had brought their own bread and cheese. They ate their food slowly, sitting on the grass on the hillside and admiring their new church with its strong stone walls, its tall tower, and its magnificent bell. After they had eaten, they went back inside, opening those carved wooden doors to go into the gloriously painted sanctuary. "Oh, look, Father," Zora cried, running from picture to picture with her footsteps echoing off the stone walls. "See how pretty the church is." She stopped in the center of the church and twirled slowly around. "See how grand." "Yes, it is," said her father, looking around and nodding with pride. "Yes, it is." "But Father," she said suddenly, "we have not finished." "What do you mean?" "There are tall iron lamps along the walls, but there are no lamps. The church will be dark when the people come back." "Ah, no, little one," said her father. "The light of the church comes from its people. You shall see." He rang the bell to call the people to worship, then took his daughter by the hand and led her back outside. They waited on the grassy hillside next to their beautiful church of strong gray stone. The sun had set behind the mountains, and the night was coming soon. Yet in the growing darkness, tiny points of light came from many directions and moved steadily up the hill. "Each family is entrusted with a lamp, little one," her father explained. Each family lights its own way here. Where is our family lamp? Your mother is carrying it, and she will be here soon. The many lights move closer together now, gathering into one moving stream, all headed the same way, growing larger and brighter all the time. Zora's mother arrived, bearing a burning oil lamp in her hands. The father lifted Zora so she could set her family's lamp high on its tall iron stand. All around the church, other families were doing the same. Soon, the church was ablaze with light in every corner, for all the people of the village had gathered to pray and sing. All through the worship service, Zora watched the lights flicker and glow. She watched her family's lamp most of all. When the service was over, her father lifted her high. She took the bronze lamp from the lampstand. Its curved sides were warm and smooth in her hands. Her mother carried the lamp home with the light flaming all the way. The lamp flame lit their house when they returned home. Zora washed her face and got ready for bed by the light of that flame. "Mother," Zora began as she climbed into bed and lay down. "Yes," her mother asked, tucking the wool blanket around Zora's shoulder. "Father said the light of the church comes from its people." "Yes, but also the people take their light from the church." Over on the table by the fireplace, the shiny bronze lamps was still burning. "And we have that light every day." "Yes, indeed," said her mother. "And even when we are not in the church, even when the lamps are not lit, we carry the light of truth in our minds and the flame of love in our hearts to show us the right way to be. That light, the light from truth and love, will never go out." "Never?" asked Zora. "Never," said her mother, "and this bronze lamp will last for many, many years. When you are grown, we will give the bronze lamp to you, and when your children are grown, you will give the lamp to them, and all of you will carry it back and forth to the church every time." "But there is only one lamp," Zora said. "So make another and let the light grow, and someday tell your children to make more lamps too. And now, good night," her mother said, and kissed Zora once on the cheek, and once on that cheek, and once on the forehead. Zora closed her eyes and drifted into dreams, while her mother looked down upon her sleeping child. The years passed, and Zora grew. The bronze lamp came into her care. She kept it polished and clean, and when the bell rang out across the valley to call the people to worship, she carried the lamp back and forth to the church on the hillside, the flames always lighting her way. And when the time came, she made more lamps and gave them to her children, who made more lamps and gave them to their children, and so it went on through the years, even until today. And always the light of truth, the flame of love from that Unitarian church on the hillside continued to grow and show them and us the way. Thank you.
This reading is by Reverend Olympia Brown. Stand by this faith, work for it, and sacrifice for it. There is nothing in all the world so important as to be loyal to this faith, which has placed before us the loftiest ideals, which has comforted us in sorrow, strengthened us for noble duty, and made the world beautiful. Do not demand immediate results, but rejoice that we are worthy to be entrusted with this great message, that you are strong enough to work for a great, true principle without counting the cost. Go on finding ever new applications of these truths and new enjoyments in their contemplation, always trusting in the one God which ever lives and loves. We give to remind ourselves how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and sacred space. We give with the faith that together we have enough. Each Sunday, we take half of the non-dedicated cash offering that is received and share it with a local organization whose values and goals reflect our own. This quarter, we are giving to support the Native Prairies Association of Texas, a nonprofit land trust dedicated to the conservation, restoration, and appreciation of the native prairies, savannas, and other grasslands in Texas. This offering, which we take every Sunday, is an opportunity to dedicate ourselves to the journey we are making together with the vision of a world made whole. The Native Prairies Association of Texas fits right into this vision and will be our Share the Plate partner through the end of March. The gifts of the congregation will be most gratefully received. Will the ushers please come forward?
Our first song is called Ubicaritas. It's a Latin, and here are the words that it translates to. Where there is charity and love, God is there. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Likewise, therefore, when we come together, let us be united as one. And from a sincere heart, let us love one another.
Caritas in amor,
Church is this? I will say it is not your church. This is the church of so many who have come across the generations. The church of Reverend Bob Rabel, Daddy Bob, who helped found or supported the founding of this church nearly 80 years ago. It is the church of the charter members. People like Mary and Harry Evans, who had moved to Dallas by the time I got here. This is the church of Daniel Christian Limbaugh, who was the founding minister at Dallas First Unitarian and was preaching in Fort Worth in 1902. This is the church of James and Mary Billings. leaders of the Universalist Convention of Texas. They were working on things like equal pay for equal work 130 years ago. This is their church. This is the church of Heiko Clapp, the minister of our congregation in New Orleans, who was a leading abolitionist in the antebellum South in the 1850s, not a popular position. This is the church of Quillen Shin, circuit riding minister, Universalist, who founded congregations all over the South. 1 3-year period, he did 15,000 miles on horseback. It is their church. You are holding this church in trust for generations yet to come. I charge you, build it well and strengthen it so it is there for them to be. And let us sing hymn number 114, Forward Through the Ages.
At this time in our service, we pause to give time and attention to the things in our community that are important to us. We gather here for healing and for peace in our hearts and to acknowledge the shared stories and news from the congregation. Each week, there is a journal outside the entrance to the sanctuary where you can write a message of memory or hope before the service. We honor these messages by lighting 3 candles here next to our chancel. Also, at any time during our service, you are welcome to come forward and light a candle in our meditation center here at the side of of the chancel. And there is nothing in the Book of Memory and Hope, but I do know that there was a Facebook post that Cheryl husband had her surgery, and she is recovering. She broke her hip, I think it was her hip, and they had problems scheduling the service because her oxygen levels were so low. But they managed to get her oxygen under control. She's had the surgery, and she's recovering, so that's good news. Let us open our minds and hearts to the place of quiet, to the silent prayer for the healing of pain and the soft, gentle coming of love. Spirit of life, eternal mystery that holds us close, receive the meditations of our hearts this day. We come together in this quiet moment to unify our hearts again toward the clarion call of our time. May justice and equity guide us to a greater connection, a greater truth.
A few years ago, I was talking with someone who had never been to another congregation other than the one where she had grown up. This was her only church, her only frame of reference. And I said, I got to thinking and started counting and said, I'd been to several churches. I later went back and counted 42 or maybe it's 43 congregations, Unitarian Universalist, and I've preached at half of them, all over Texas, but also in New Orleans, Little Rock, Arkansas, Memphis, Tennessee, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Columbus, Ohio, Ann Arbor, Michigan, Washington, D.C., Paint Branch, Maryland, Boston, Chicago, Minneapolis, San Francisco, San Diego, Cedar Falls, Iowa, Edmonton, Canada, and maybe a few others. She asked a question. What did they have in common? So I quickly sat down and wrote out about 5 elements I'm going to talk about today. 5 elements of a strong congregation. 1, may not surprise you, but is dedicated people. Not just the folks who come because they live nearby and like the brand of coffee we serve, but people who live and embody this church. Servant leaders. These are the people who are more concerned with what they bring to the church or the organization than what they take from it. These are important people. And the staff, the ministers and other staff who provide the leadership and the stability and the programming and do the work we never see that build the church. We also need people who are a non-anxious presence. Those rare people, bless them, who are calm in the midst of crisis and they don't bring their own baggage to the party. And dedicated people. First Unitarian Dallas, we had back in the 70s or 80s, the lawn was mowed by volunteers. Now, there's a lot of concrete and buildings and not that much grass, and what there is fairly level, which was convenient. One time I'm told there was a woman who was out mowing the grass while 8 months pregnant. Her next turn to mow, the baby was on her back and she was again mowing the grass. Dedicated people. Reverend Laura Holman told the story of one of her parishioners, Ralph Fuchs. He was a leading professor. He was president of his academic union and worked hard. He was dedicated to his profession, maintaining academic freedom during the time of McCarthyism. He brought that same level of dedication to his church. Laura went to visit him on his deathbed in the hospital. He was drifting in and out of consciousness. And at one point he sat up in a clear, strong voice, said, "Forward through the ages, in unbroken line, moved the faithful spirit at the call divine." Went back into his coma. Those were the last words anybody heard him say. And I'll ask you, what will your last words be about? Dedicated people. The next thing is religious education. Teaching the next generations, and also we don't stop learning, so us adults need to go to education as well. It's for all ages, and it's how we build the future across the generations. And I like the idea years ago where they talked about that it wasn't the teachers in RE wasn't just, okay, you have to go do it this year. It was a status thing that the doctors and lawyers and the professionals in the community would volunteer to teach Sunday school. I think that's a good idea we should revive. Next thing is healthy boundaries and communications, behaviors. Having those boundaries when you can allowed to say no. When you stay in your area, when you're appropriate, we stay in your lane. We keep the behaviors that are anti-racist, anti-sexist, all the isms. We be respectful of people. We avoid gatekeeping and territorial, where the person is in charge of, oh no, that's committee, my committee, and they've been on that committee how many decades, and it's okay, is it time for someone else? Gatekeeping, we avoid that. We avoid the territorial work. We avoid the triangulation, where you talk about someone instead of talking with them about an issue. Calling up and say, you know what she said, or do you know what he's trying to do? Instead of talking to that person, maybe you need to get someone to come with you, set up that meeting to be a mediator. But we don't do the triangulation. You know what she said? You know what he did? We don't do that. Accountability. Did we do what we said we're going to do? All that. Self-awareness. Are you the person who barges into the party not knowing that you've caused an interruption? Self-awareness is an important thing. Of course, it's what we strive for in meditation. The Buddhist, is a Buddhist or Hindu, self-awareness is the goal, what we want to achieve. And lastly, the behavior norms. Years ago, I was talking with someone about their behavioral covenant. And I went, First Unitarian doesn't have a behavioral covenant. It's a big old church. We don't have one. But I got to thinking, the norms are so well established. We don't need one because it is there. The norms are established. So, dedicated people, religious education, healthy behaviors and communication. 3 of them. The next one is stewardship, where we build the institution. Yes, a lot of that's not just, but a lot of it is giving money. Where we ask people to pledge and pledge generously. Sometimes it's important in how you ask. When Laura Holman came to Dallas first 30-some years ago, she talked about that we had been living in genteel poverty, giving just enough that the church could survive, but not enough to thrive. It's time to do away with that. She asked us to give generously. And for 20 years, she worked on 5%, asking people to give 5%. Half a tithe, because of course we're giving the other half to our causes. Half a tithe. But if we had even 2 or 3%, we would be rolling in money. Unitarian Universalist, we usually rank in the top 3 of per capita income. Episcopalians, Reformed Jews, and UUs. Top 3 in per capita income. Per capita giving, we are dead last. It's time we not have that. I sometimes hear, First Dallas, they have all the money. Of course they can do that. They have lots of money. Not always. There have been some years the budget was bare bones, cut all the expenses just so they did not have to do layoffs. In fact, right now there's a position, an office position that is empty because we don't have the budget to cover it. But I ask you to turn that around and say that instead of, they have all that stuff because, of course, they have all that money. No. What if we have all that money because we have staff that provides the programming, that gives the continuity and the stability of what we need? So I ask that. And I remember, too, don't worry about the prompter there. I'm going to tell another story. Years ago, we had a canvas that Al Johnson chaired it for 2 years in a row because he said he didn't get to do what he wanted the first time. And his theme was paradigm shift. And it was, don't think about increasing your pledge a certain percent. Throw that out. Instead, ask, what is this church worth to you? And they had broken the pledge base into 7 brackets, with the different size from the $250 pledge to $500,000, whatever. And there was one pledge over $10,000. Now, 30 years ago, that was serious money, right? They said, we think there are 7 pledges in this congregation of 600-700 people, 7 pledges over $10,000. If you are at your limit, giving all you can, don't worry, stay there. If you can give more, ask yourself, what is this church worth to you? We got 6 pledges over 10,000, and the next brackets down did not shrink. And 30 years ago, $10,000 was no small amount of money. So we give, but also we avoid the mentality of scarcity, where, if we don't have much, we have to scramble to save it. And fighting over that scarcity of resources creates division and distracts us from the mission. If we scramble over a few resources, we get distracted from what we're here to do. So let's get rid of that genteel poverty. I would offer instead the fifth stone of religious liberalism from James Luther Adams. There are resources, divine and human, that are available for the achievement of meaningful change that justify an attitude of ultimate optimism. Resources, divine and human, justify an attitude of ultimate optimism. We have what we need if we can find it. We have what we need. And the fourth thing is fellowship activities. Things that bring us together. Meals, service projects, building maintenance, and particularly one of my favorites, singing. And well, the polite word is robust. I say group singing, loud singing. Sometimes if you get people together, General Assembly, where you get a few thousand people together in one room who know the tune rank by rank. Rank by rank, come we once more from the four winds gathered hither. Loud the hallowed walls implore, whence we come and how and whither. It is our minister's marching tune, but if you've got 4,000 people singing that together and we know it, it moves the spirit. If we know the tunes we sing. You know, there's the old joke that you use, don't sing well because we're reading ahead to see if we agree with the words. I say, no, that's wrong. We're busy reading ahead because we don't know the words. And sometimes I like to look down and read the words and then look up so I can sing. That got me once. Number 295, there's the line of, we'll stay at homes built by those who know wild roads. I looked down, I looked up to sing and did the big double take because I had read that as, we'll stay at homes built by those who know wild toads. You know, that might be a nice place to stay, right? But if we know the tune we sing, either rank by rank or at Swoosie, the closing song every evening, people sing it and they know it. June and Warren Tresh moved from Oklahoma City. They were members there back in the 70s, where the closing hymn every week was number 12, Life That Makes Things Anew, and came to Dallas. They didn't even need the hymn book to sing it. At Warren's memorial service, June we weren't sure she was getting much out of it. But at the hymn, she sang up in her wheelchair and was singing along. She knew that. When Mark Bellatini went to Hayward, California, the new congregation, he was a young minister, and the congregation of older folks said, "Oh no, we don't sing." And it was like, have we got plans for you? But he started them singing rounds so they could hear each other sing. And by the time he left, they liked singing. So we enjoy it. Maybe not well. This is not an auditioning for a recording contract, but if we enjoy singing together, that's what's important. We enjoy it. Years ago, we had remembered Carol Benson, bless her heart, said, "Oh, church, it's where they have to let me sing." Because we know somebody who couldn't carry a tune in a bushel basket. Well, our congregation in New York, Port Washington, Shelter Rock, back in the early days, two of the founding members, between the two of them carrying the bucket, they still couldn't carry a tune. But there was a conspiracy, including the spouses, to get them to sit beside each other so they could cancel each other out. I'm not sure that worked. But that is part that we sing together. When this hymn book was compiled 30-some years ago, somebody asked the committee, said, oh, it's going to be an interfaith book, of course. There will be Hindu and Muslim hymns and Buddhist hymns. No. Corporate singing is a Jewish and Christian tradition. There aren't hymns sung by a Muslim congregation. They did find one Native American tune. They did find one Japanese song. But that's about it. And accompaniment. Sometimes we sing in rounds, but sometimes we have accompaniment. This piano, especially if there are grace notes and chords, this can sound every bit as grand as a pipe organ, especially if Mish has been working out and eating his vitamins. But the accompaniment is there to lift the people, whether piano or organ. It lifts and raises the congregation. And the next verse, maybe you add a stop on the organ, add a little louder, and the third verse even louder, and raises the congregation. Where compared to one congregation I've been in, the music wasn't like a front end loader lifting us up. It was more like a bulldozer pushing us forward. But it lifts us up. Dallas First in the big church with the big fancy pipe organ. Sometimes they'll do the second verse, the third, the fourth verse, even the fourth verse. The organist cuts out and we sing a cappella. Or if there's brass, just the trumpets with no organ, and then he does some doodles with the chords, and then comes in on the fifth verse, taking the congregation even higher as we sing in joy and rapture. That is what the accompaniment is for, is to lead us and lift us. So in summary, the 5 things a strong congregation has: dedicated people who demonstrate healthy behaviors and communication, who teach across the generation, who lead in stewardship, and who do things together. Where are you on this? It's a never-ending process, I tell you that. But let us sing together, and let us sing joyously. Number 116, I'm on my way. If here you have found freedom, take it with you into the world. If you have found comfort, go and share it with others. If you have dreamed dreams, help one another that they may come true. If you have known love, give some back to a bruised and hurting world. Go in peace.